Millen? Okay. Later.
Well, there it goes. Call to order the December 10th, 2018 Transportation Committee meeting. All members are present. That is correct. I'm going to ask Councilman Kluart to lead us in the invocation, followed by the pledge.
Everyone, please stand. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, as the cold weather descends upon us in this area, we ask that everyone look out for their neighbor. We ask that you look out for the elderly. Go out and let's find somebody in need. Lord, in this season of thanks, we ask that you look upon those that have less than us, and let's try to do something nice, something good for someone to make this season great for them. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There'll be a public comment period. Anybody that would like to speak, please fill out a card. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. I have nothing in addition to add to the report for the committee's chairman report. Moving on to number 4, acceptance of the minutes of November 5th, 2018 meeting as written.
Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Lambert and multiple seconds, so moved. Department report, Mike Enlow.
Tacey Ravelli is going to give the report on the overlay stuff.
Great, thank you.
Good evening. Okay, so we are about to wrap up the 2018 overlay package. We issued the last task for this contract. It's probably the work will probably roll into early next year. But I've listed the work that is going on. Jeanette Drainage, they're done with. They should be starting with the road reconstruction efforts next week. Then after the new year, I think, if not a little bit before, after the new year, they'll start working on Bill Morgan. And those will be the 2 roads the last 2 roads that'll be fully reconstructed for the year, basically, in this package at least. We have a little bit of curb work on Morris to do, and the rest of the work is striping. We're going to be restriping Eads, Black Bayou Extension. We're going to be putting edge lines on Tillotson and some stop bars at Lakes at Manchac, excuse me. And you can take a look at the task details in the attached Table A. In 2019, right after the new year, we plan on advertising for next year's overlay, the asphalt overlay contract. And hopefully by the following month, we will also advertise for a pavement preservation contract as well. So we should have a decent bit of work going into next year as well. And that's about all I have. Oh, after this, you can look at the Move Ascension website views, and then attached also is the state's projects that are in construction. I've highlighted the ones that are in active work, and highlighted the updates as well. So if you want to take a look at that, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Have we got any questions?
I will say the state project updates, these are probably about a month old. They hadn't sent out any new updates since then, but if I get any other updates that y'all have questions about, I'll certainly be happy to email you whatever answers I might have.
Councilwoman Cazzo.
Hi, Tacey. Thanks so much. So at what point will we have a schedule of our list of the roads that will be included in the 2019 road maintenance program?
Probably we'll look at which ones are on the highest priority early next year. We've already approved a 3-year list. Of course, those will change as you know, we always have emergency repairs that might pop up in front of the others, but we have planned out for 3 years. We just need to sit down and take a closer look at those roads and which ones we can fund in this contract as well. We like to mix and match with the total reconstruction with mill patch overlays, striping, curb work. So depending on the scope of the reconstruction as that will determine which ones go in first. But we do have our radar on quite a few that we're looking at, you know, tasking out first. And I'll have that for you January meeting if you like.
It's not urgent. I'm just curious so that we can, you know, because we get calls from our constituents
Yes,
who
ma'am.
wonder, you know, where in the list they are. So
Right,
we'd
and
like
it's,
to be able to-
I get a lot of those too, and we have just so many on our radar right now. It's hard to, you know, we have some that have needed attention for quite some time that we really need to address first. But as they come up, we do look at them closer if they're not, if the PCI, the Pavement Condition Index, doesn't already show that they need to be addressed. You know, sometimes it takes a resident to call because we're not aware of a situation that might develop since the last road scan. So, you know, it's kind of a fluid result, or a fluid group of roads, if you will.
One follow-up, Mr. Chairman, if I may. So when was the last time we did a pavement index, pavement survey index, and when will that be done again?
2016, we got, the scan was right before the flood, and I've been communicating with our MPO, and they are going to contract, I'm sorry, I can't remember which consultant did, but they're going to contract the same consultant to rescan the roads next 2019. So what we'll do is we'll put up our share of the money to be able to access, you know, whatever data we may want to manipulate, you know, use them in our road prioritization program. So it'll be hopefully mid next year, mid 2019.
Interesting. I'd love to see that done as soon as possible, hopefully so that it could inform this decision on what is done in our 2019 package. Is there any way to get that to happen before those decisions are made?
Well, I think they've started scanning at least the state routes. I think it's just kind of getting them their consultant under contract and then asking us to pay our share. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is, but once we pay that, I'm hoping, I mean, we'll definitely get it as soon as possible. As they get the data in, they usually forward it on. But I will let them know that just to kind of keep us abreast as to where they are and when we can get that data. But I will be getting to it as soon as I can.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you, Tacey.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. Councilwoman Casso, to follow up on that answer that Tacey gave, I think the CRPC gentleman told me every 3 years is what they're trying to do for the recapturing the PCI. So hopefully they do it sooner than midnight 2019, but that's where we're at.
Thank you.
All right. Go through the Move Ascension projects. You can see the first table here. It gives you a comprehensive list of kind of where we're at. The Roddy Road segments, you'll see the two road segments, the first ones. We have, the design is complete. Our right-of-way consultant is slowly, not slowly, but moving along and getting the right-of-way acquired. It's been a slow process just from the amount of properties they have. We've had to do some right-of-way map revisions and things like that. So every time you do that, you have to go back, and it's kind of a back and forth process. But they're moving along at a good clip now, and we expect them to be wrapping up in at the end of this month and the beginning of 2019 on those two segments. Henry Road widening, we're getting into final design. That should be done in the next few weeks. Part of the right-of-way has already begun, and they're going to move. When that final design comes in, we'll be able to complete the right-of-way acquisition. Again, that's a long stretch. The longer roads obviously have a lot more parcels, so a lot of these intersection improvements, we may see them get completed, and we may come to you all and request approval to put them into construction sooner than the long roads. That's just, I guess, the way it is if you want to move this program fast. So, Bukett Horn, Parker 929, and Paris Road 929 and Parker Roundabout. That is partially state funded to the tune of $1 million. So we're going through a lot of the state processes on that, but it is moving along. It's getting into the final design. Ashland Road, St. Landry Connector is complete. We're waiting to put together a construction package on that. The Roddy Road, the third segment of Roddy Road that we de-scoped, we're going to get that out in the next week before the end of this year. We have about 3 intersection locations that were on our CRPC list of safety needs or safety improvement needs. So we're going to go ahead and get that re-scoped out to SJB, and they're going to move forward with those, and we think we can get those into construction fairly soon after that. The US 61 signal timing, this may be further along in the packet, but we got an update from the consultant, and it looks like there was about anywhere from 11% to a 20% increase in the flow of traffic in each direction. I forget which one was better, but talking with the city engineer in Gonzales, she drives from Prairieville to Gonzales every morning, and she said she noticed it was a noticeable decrease in time, I suppose, better traffic flow. But just retiming those signals helped out quite a bit. So we were glad to hear that. The Seabro widening, we're moving into final design. Evans Graves, Germany Road widening, safety widening. We had a meeting today with with DOTD. That's been assigned a H number. That is also CRPC funded. The construction, right-of-way, utilities, and construction engineering inspection is funded through CRPC. It's a 20% match on that. So we had the kickoff meeting on that, but we've already done some preliminary work, surveying and stuff like that, geotechnical. So we're going to start moving fast on that. Tiki Duplessis, I think we're getting into final design on that. Duplessis Road is our other CRPC funded project. We've yet to have a meeting with DOTD, but again, they've done, Meyer Engineers has done some preliminary work on that. So we're hoping that can get started fairly soon. Those the construction money is slated to come in 2022, I believe, is when it's appropriated for. We're going to hopefully we will be complete with the design and all the pre-construction stuff so that we can take advantage of any other additional monies that come out for other projects that may fall off the regional list. So we'll be ahead of the game, having those shovel ready. Neil Schaefer, the 73 turn lanes, those are in final design as we speak, and looking to start getting the right-of-way on those, I think, in the first part of next year. US 61 Germany Road intersection improvement. We had to issue a supplement to that task order, that consultant, to design the new mast arms that are going to be installed. Going to be the 11-foot lanes and with a turn lane, I think a left turn lane and a through and right. So looking forward to that project. I think it's going to help out that area quite a bit. 929 and Bro Road roundabout. That's still in preliminary design. Another improvement in that area. It's going to help out quite a bit. Bro Road and Germany Road roundabout. That one is moving along very rapidly. Not too many utilities, and the right of way seems to be easily attained there, so it's not gonna have much trouble. And that one's gonna be coming up sooner than later for construction, so we're pleased about that. 930 Henry Road, waiting for Henry Road to get through final design, so we have the alignment, the appropriate alignment for that roundabout to finalize design. But again, because it's an intersection improvement, it'll be done and designed a lot sooner than the roads will, and we'll be able to get it into construction. Same thing with 929 and 930. The pipeline avoidance was completed and submitted to DOTD. Issued the task order on 930 for the redesign, called a redesign. It's for a consultant to take over the 95% design plans from DOTD, stamp and own that design, and get that into construction. Well, so we have a 90-day lead time on that. The surveyors were out there today. The cooperative endeavor agreement that we signed is going through the Office of Contracts with the state. Try to check up on that this week and see where that's at, but pretty sure it's going to be beginning of next year before it gets signed. Roddy Road 931 roundabout, that's a state intersects a state route, so it's going to have some state involvement, but it's moving along. We're in pre-construction and are pleased at the progress of that. Fenstermaker is doing the Roddy Road and Church Point roundabout. The state is involved in that project as well, so we're looking to have a kickoff meeting on that soon and get that into construction. 3127, got news today that the 3127 project, which was to get that segment of roadway to a preliminary 30% design, which is getting draft right-of-way maps, and that's going to be turned in Wednesday. And with that package, we'll be able to take that to DOTD and move forward with that with the process and having that approved to get an H number if we so choose to move into further design with that. Babin Road Bridge over by Narcisse. Many of the people probably saw that bridge was closed down for a couple weeks to do some utility relocations. I think that's complete, and I think the state is going to get that into have a letting date at the first quarter of 2019. So I'll keep this body informed of that when it happens. But the state is now in the state's hands. It's an off-system bridge project, and it's in their hands now. So, any questions on any of these projects? Yes, sir.
Councilman Cagliari.
You talked about Ashland Road, St. Andrew Avenue connector.
Yes, sir.
You said it would go out for bids. Any idea when?
We could, it's ready. We have the permits. I think we're waiting on one more approval, actual permit from DOTD, to get it in hand. But beginning of next year, we could put that into construction.
Okay. I saw where it's cleared. It looks good. We did that ourselves, right?
Yes, sir.
The only other one I have was, let's see. Oh, the Roddy Road, Church Point Road, roundabout.
The roundabout? Yes, sir. So, the biggest question with that, obviously, besides getting the right-of-way for the segment of 61 to 935, is sequencing of those three projects right there. It's tough. There's two bridges and a couple of intersections. Yeah. So it's going to be very important to sequence that. We are waiting, I think next summer is when the city of Gonzales is going to appropriate the funds to have the water line moved. They have a large water line that goes from 621 into the city. A very important piece of infrastructure there that can't be taken down for any length of time. So that was part of the design, and I think they have a consultant working on that. So that roundabout, I can get with you another time and see once we get closer, maybe next month, and see how we're going to sequence that.
Okay.
But possibly before the widening of the other segments. So.
Okay. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Cluett.
Yeah, Mr. Cagliari, he asked me about the same one. I still want a question about the Ashland Road St. Landry connector.
Yes, sir.
We sitting here on ready. I remember one of the prior meetings last month that the parish president and administration talking about possibly trying to help get industry to help pay for that road.
Yes, sir.
We need to go ahead and get that road paid for.
Yes, sir.
I'm not in favor of going to try to lobby industry to pay for it. We have a whole list of roads on this list that we're wanting to put the bill for. That should be one of them.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is it waiting on any funding, anything? I'm asking you.
No, just waiting to get an update on what the latest is with the meetings with the industry, but give you a better update on that before the end of the year, if you like.
Because you got 3127 over here on that, and that wasn't, I don't think that was a part of the original
Correct,
plan.
correct. It's not. We wanted to kind of track it, and one of the consultants is in the pool, is doing that work over there, so you're correct. You're correct. It's not part of the move ascension.
So I think that road's important, that connector road, for
Yes, sir.
1,000 reasons. For the good people in the industry that pay 50% on an average of our tax base.
Yes, sir.
Also.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, Mike,
Yes, sir.
looking at, you got 75%, 50, budget-wise, how are we looking on our budget for as, is all the roads that you have on this list doable
Yes. Yes.
with the money that we have
Yes, sir.
allocated for this project?
Yes, sir. Go ahead if you want to.
No, that's good, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to, I'm glad you asked the question. I wanted to maybe clear some things up. I need to make sure the website is up to date. I'm fairly positive it is with the funding scenarios, but originally the Move Ascension initiative started out as a $35 million initiative, $10 million coming from the Fund 37 account and $25 million bond. But it's not a one-year program, it's a multi-year, so putting about $1 to $2 million from Fund 37 into it with the transportation impact fees, which is around $6 million spread out, as you know, in three zones, I suppose. We have a CRPC credit from back in 2013, $9.6 million. The new STBG projects through the CRPC is $7.6 million. We've got road transfer money to the tune of about $5 million. So it's grown to around $66 million. And I can sit down with you and show you the program budget that we have.
Okay.
A lot of the estimates for right-of-way are coming in under what we had put down budgeted. So it's looking really good right now, so which is pleasing, I can tell you that.
A little bit like Randy, we'd like to see most of the roads completed, and don't
Absolutely.
run short on some,
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Councilwoman Kaza.
No, thank you. Okay.
Mike, I have one or two. Regarding Henry Road, it's, when you talk about the design, we have a cemetery there and a pipeline. Is that what we're trying to avoid? 'Cause I get a lot of questions on that.
Not a pipeline.
Or utilities, maybe I'm using the wrong
Yeah,
phrase.
yeah, the cemetery, cemeteries can be showstoppers, yes, figuratively as well, but there's a church cemetery there. There's utilities on one side, which we had a certain alignment, had a shift in it, and initially we had 12-foot lanes and 4-foot shoulders, but by looking at that and seeing what we could kind of, get it down to limit the impact and still make it a nice driving road, we decided to go back and change it to 11-foot lanes and 2-foot shoulders. I think Airline Highway is both lanes around 11 feet, so a 12-foot, two 12-foot lanes and 4-foot shoulders would be a fairly large road profile through that area. So we made those concessions, and the designer went back and is changing that, straightening up the alignment a little bit because of that. So it's going to be a nice driving road, but it just takes time doing that. But there were a lot of different concerns with that road. The cemetery being one, the utilities on one side, some drainage factors. So it takes a little bit to really, you got to figure out what's going to be the most important things to design around. You got to kind of be sensitive to everything. So, but it's looking good.
Thank you. Lastly, I know a couple of us have this issue. When people call us, they want to know what's going on, if we can get a meeting with the neighborhood. We're going to do that, is that correct? Once we have final design, then we can go out, meet with everybody in the neighborhoods?
Yep,
So I know I get that a lot along Henry Road, and I know others, Bro Road, Roddy, y'all get the same phone calls.
Right, yeah, I think, I think, keeping the public informed is a good idea, especially with these projects and how we're able to do them a lot faster than maybe what's been done before. That doesn't seem that way, but I'm really pleased at the progress we've made with HNTB and all of our consultants, our 11 CDCs. They've done a great job, and we're way ahead of the game. Most projects that we do through CRPC and DOTD are 7 years in the making. So we're going to be at a point to go to construction in a year on most of these. So I'm pleased with the progress.
Very good, thank you.
Yes,
Move
sir.
on.
Okay, can answer any questions you have to these other stuff. This is bullets that we've gone through before. Clearing and grubbing projects to be let in 2019. The Roddy Road, it's the 2 segments and the roundabout at Church Point. Henry Road widening and LA 930 widening. LA 930 widening, clearing and grubbing will encompass the 2 roundabouts, 929 and Henry Road. So we're hoping to maybe try to get those done. Started construction in the summertime. I think it's a good idea because there's school around there, so and get those knocked out before the construction of the road starts. Then you have some the right-of-way acquisitions. Kind of gives you a little update on that. And I can delve down deeper into a lot of these details with any of you individually if you like, at any time. I'm available. Utility relocations. HNTB, as our program manager, has been working with all utility companies. We've been keeping them aware for the last year of our plans. I think a lot of them maybe don't like to make a move until they get 95% plans in hand. But I think because of the process we're doing now is letting them know it's coming and keep meeting with them, let them know. That may be, with their protocol, but a lot of the property we own, and they're going to have to get out the way. So I think it's going to be, but we're working with them, so I think it's going to be hopefully a good process to go through. So. And then we have ongoing move ascension projects, like we've talked about. I'm anxious to see the master plan update and with all the modeling they're doing, with all the projects that we have that we came out of all the public meetings. I think a lot of them are great projects. A lot of them, at the same time, may not be projects that are feasible. But I think the way that we're doing it is the way most people do master plans. Is you got to kind of look at it from a high altitude with blinders on and kind of see what's going to help out for the task at hand, which is moving transportation improvements and for the future of the parish. So pleased to see how that's coming along, and we'll keep you all updated. I think that's it for the move ascension stuff. We've gone through 3127. Are there any other questions with any of that information in the report that I could give you?
Councilman Cloat.
Yeah, Mike, what's any new revelations on the DOTD road transfer program?
No new revelations.
That's what I'm saying. Any money's thrown out that'll linger in there?
No, we've been looking at that, and trying to take a look at that program not only through the eyes of maybe making transportation improvements, but I think it's important to realize for other infrastructure in the parish, one being sewer. It's going to be a good idea to look at those roads because of that. If we own the right-of-way, that's a main point. We can I'm not going to say do what we want with the sewer. There's design standards you go by, but having the right-of-way from some of these state roads is going to be extremely helpful when it comes to planning out a sewer master plan, if you will. But we've been, with Jeff, he's been looking at a lot of options. There's around, I don't know, $40 to $60 million worth of roads that we're looking at in the system, but we haven't gone any further than just kind of identifying what are some roads that we can agree on and maybe can help out with our traffic flow.
Good deal. And just one quick note, moving into 2019, possibly for next month, or either you could send me something. Could you could you check with finance and see, how much money's in the, traffic impact fee program for the zone that, District 6 is in? My district.
Yeah, I'm giving you that deer in the headlights.
Well, no, I don't need it
The deer
tonight.
in the
You don't-
headlights.
I don't need it tonight. You don't have it. So just take a look at that and see
Will.
how
I will.
much money's we got in there, and, if anything talked about any improvements in that area.
Yes, sir. Will do.
District. Yeah, we do that for each district, next meeting.
Okay.
Get that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Everybody knows. Any other questions on that section? Move on to state projects. I've got a specific question, may speed up. Just tell me about Highway 42, where do we stand? It looks like we're a little bit ahead completion time versus time elapsed.
Yeah, they've been ahead of the game. They got, the main point for those kind of projects is to get out of the ground as soon as you can, and Barber Brothers has done that, even with the addition of the third culvert going Muddy Creek, that third 11 by 11, seems like they're still ahead of schedule, and I think they're supposed to, transition and shift around so they can remove that bridge. I know they're trying to get some of the traffic off the original road, and they started down by 40, on the 44 end. But as far as an update, I don't have any detailed update on the progress other than what's in the report, which is they're ahead of schedule. So I think 38%, 40-something%, something like that.
Yes.
So
42% complete and 38% time elapsed, so about 4% ahead of schedule.
yeah, if they can keep that ratio, it'll be smooth sailing. I know it's difficult for everybody. I live on that road as well, but could be worse. I'll tell you that.
Do we have any other specific questions on the state projects?
I was gonna ask for an update on Gold Place, but I passed it, I could see the update. I don't see nothing moving.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. I passed by there the other day, and I know Baton Rouge Water was out there getting their stuff moved, and maybe they may be still in the assembly period after the
Well,
utilities
the
moved.
infrastructure was supposed to be taken care of, and the utilities and,
Yeah,
construction on December the 3rd, so I just
yeah.
don't see anything moving. So you might want to check with the state. And give them-
Yeah, I'll check with them. If they give them a date to start, this contractors don't necessarily have to start on that date, but, we're hoping they got a good one. So I'll check on that for you and give you a call. Yes, sir.
It's supposed to start for 3 years. It's contractors.
Yeah.
What's happening, I don't know.
Is it? Yeah, they're in an assembly period right now, so they're in the assembly period. I think DOTD gives them the assembly period, part of the construction start time. So I'm not sure how long of an assembly period, but I can get that information. I'll make a phone call tomorrow and get back with you.
Deal, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let's move on.
Yes, sir.
You good?
I'm done with the report.
You're done,
Thank
okay.
you.
Just making sure. I don't want you coming back up here. Moving on to number 7, discussion and recommendation to the council implementation of Ascension Parish Road Infrastructure Development Districts, Louisiana Revised Statute, Section 33:4690.13. What this is, and I'm going to ask for Jerome Fournier's help a little bit on this, is we put together, basically years ago, I should have recognized him before, former Parish President Tommy Martinez worked hard with the legislature to get us in a position that when we have new neighborhoods that are being built, we have the ability to help them or to provide a system whereby they maintain their own roads. Because as we know, we've heard it a lot for many years. We have an issue of new roads coming to the system, but we have a very limited transportation budget to the tune of $6 to $8 million a year, with which we have to maintain our roads, maintain our bridges, build new roads, buy right-of-way, all of that, which is extremely expensive. We don't have the funds to do everything we need to do. So what this is, it's an attempt to limit the amount of roads that come into the system with new subdivisions that the parish would have to maintain, the parish funds would have to maintain. Jerome, if you would, can you kind of walk us through the history of this and how this works?
Well, as best I can, Chairman Lawler. basically, as you mentioned, this law was put together at the request of Ascension Parish. And it's part of Louisiana Revised Statutes, Section 33-4690-.13. And it allows the parish to put together what's called the Ascension Parish Road Infrastructure Development District, which is basically an assessment district type of entity that lies on top of a subdivision that's been approved, right? So with that, the parish can collect funds in one of two ways. One is an ad valorem tax up to 15 mils on each property. The other is a flat fee with a maximum amount of $200 per property, right? So it'll be at the decision of the parish when they put these together as to how which direction they're going to want to go. The districts are put together by vote of the property owner, and basically at the stage of the subdivision development, when all the property is under one ownership, that one owner would vote in favor of putting this on the plat. If they choose not to put the assessment district together, or this ad valorem tax, all the roads will be private, and we will not take them into the system. They will be private roads. So it'll be up to the decision as to the developer which way he wants to go on that, basically. So with that, I can answer some questions if you'd like.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Jerome, have you experienced this in your past? I know you've been around
I
different
have. We did quite a
territories.
few of these back on the West Coast when I was here. And, and they were multifaceted, actually, not just for roads. But my experience with these is that we would put them together, and they would basically lie dormant. We wouldn't collect any money, but the purpose of them was to take up funds in case a homeowners association went away. So if the HOA dissolved or something like that, for whatever reason, then the city in this case, or the county back there, could basically institute and bring to life the assessment district, and you could collect funds to fund the same thing that the HOA did. In our case, because of the legislation, we can only fund street costs. Back there, we'd fund maintenance for roads, landscaping, detention ponds, all these different things that the HOA would take care of, we would do. So yes, it's used quite across the United States, actually. You know, it's a rather common.
And how would the communication be to the homeowners that buy a home in this subdivision, I guess?
Well, I talked
to make sure they're not blindsided.
Right. I talked to legal counsel about this, and they say that basically you're placing another statement on the final plat, and the final plat is the legal document that basically gives notification to the property owners of all the legal ramifications that they have being part of the subdivision. Right. The legal plat shows servitudes. It shows dedication of right-of-way. It shows all the notations about sewerage. It has all of the notes that we have regarding the property that a person's buying in that subdivision, right?
Okay. That's all I have for you.
Councilman Pullitt.
Yeah, Jerome, I'm real interested in this because, over the years, we've had roads that came into the parish through plat and through sign and everything, and through legislature. We've also had roads that stayed private because whatever the developer did not want to succumb to the rules that we had.
Right.
Or the right of way or whatever it was. In my area on Highway 22 at the Diversion Canal, if you're facing the Diversion Canal going toward Livingston, to the left is Bayou Terrace. That was Tommy's district back several years ago, Todd's district for a long time, and then I got it. And that within that subdivision, that was originally built as a private road, and it went bad. And of course, the landowners didn't have the money to put up to build a road, so there was a tax that was put on there that each landowner paid for the roads. And of course, I think Todd, it went away 2-3 years ago, whatever. But, so we got it, and of course, we just redid that road 2 years ago. But To the right is River Highlands, which remain private, okay? And is in disarray to a point, and the landowners now, not necessarily being the original landowners, but they didn't buy, 90% of them didn't buy from the developer. They ended up buying their homes from somebody else that had built them or whatever, bought the lot.
Right.
And they're in a catch-22. Hell, they don't even have a legal speed limit down there. You know, there's nothing we can do, and we fought and fought for years. So what is this gonna do, and how much of an impact do you see on the standard landowner that's gonna sign this?
Well, in the case that you just.
Recurring taxes.
In the case that you just brought up, obviously, there's no way to go back and create this district because you need 100% of the landowners to vote in favor of it.
Right.
And the likelihood of that happening is rather nil, all right?
That is correct.
On the other hand, if we set this up for a new subdivision, it allows us to collect funds over a period of time, let's say 10, 15, 20 years. And those funds are built up in a pot. And in that 10 or 15 or 20-year period, if we see roads going bad, we can pull from that pot in order to repair the roads. And that, I think, is the purpose of this, and that's why it was brought up to begin with.
Yeah,
So we are looking at a bucket of money that we can pull from. And I might add that once the monies are collected by the tax assessor, they're turning over to the parish, and there's a fund number attached to it, that money goes into a lockbox, and it's basically for that subdivision and that subdivision alone. All right, so there can't be commingling funds or pulling funds from one pot and giving it to another pot. It's for that subdivision. All right.
And I'm good with that.
Mhm.
I just, we have subdivisions that have came into the parish, and you talking about 10 years, 20 years, that in less than 10 years, they've had
Right.
road problems that
Right.
need to be fixed. Some of them may be less than 5. I'm not gonna go out and do a study or do any investigation.
Yeah.
I've sat here long enough to where
I might add, though.
How do you establish the dollar value? Is it based on miles, or it's just
Well,
front of
the-
lot, in front of lot, in front of lot, you just keep adding a dollar?
There is a report that's required when you set up the district, and in that report, it'll spell out you're doing a cost analysis and how much it's gonna cost to repair the road, replace certain aspects of the road. So that will be prepared in what's considered an engineer's report or a report of the district. So that will appear in there, because every one will be unique. They will have different miles of road, this type of thing. Now, I might add, though, one of the things I should state is that ever since we have changed just last year, we put some pretty stringent criteria on how we're building roads. So I think staff as a whole is pretty much feel that we're getting some pretty good roads in our parish right now. I know that there've been some instances where there've been some mishaps with that recently, but those have been corrected. But I think what we're getting into the parish now are pretty good roads. So I hope that
I'm just
answers.
trying to find a good, clear path for it.
Yeah.
And, I understand the relief for the responsibility and the budget,
Mhm.
and I just want to make sure that the people that are going to get involved in this and buy a lot in a subdivision where they had this tax for that road in front of their house,
Mhm.
that it's going to be enough to
Right.
do what, and I'm sure you do an assessment, like you said, whether
Mhm.
you've got a, road with ditches, or you got curb and gutters,
Right,
it's the dollar
right.
values more and things
Yeah.
like that.
But remember, we are limited on what we can collect.
Right.
It's either 15 mills if we go the ad valorem route, or it's $200 per year per parcel if we go the assessment route.
Is that about the same dollar amount?
Well, obviously, the ad valorem depends on the value of the house, so,
I think it was.
I wouldn't know the answer. to
Yeah.
that.
Gotcha.
It was I think it was originally based on the average cost of a house. I don't remember the dollar, but.
Yeah. We have some upper scale neighborhoods and
Yeah,
some
buddy.
that aren't as much, so.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you. Councilwoman Cazza.
Yeah, Jerome, so I would take it that roads in these subdivisions would still have to be built to our standards.
Absolutely, yeah. Even private streets now, if it's a private subdivision and the roads are to remain private, those roads still have to be built to our standards, right?
follow-up, if I may, sir.
Absolutely.
I'm only concerned about creating little slush funds that are sitting there with a whole bunch of money in them.
Mm-hmm.
So how will that be handled? Is that held by the parish and then placed into investment accounts? For, you know, especially with a brand-new subdivision, you may be a decade before
Yeah.
you need to expend any money, and you're collecting this money every year.
Mm-hmm.
So what will happen to those funds? I mean, what's the structure around holding those funds?
I don't know the financial mechanism that be used to invest the funds. If there is an investment account or anything, we'd have to ask finance on that. But I do know that they will go into an account, and that account is strictly to be used for that particular subdivision, right? So that's all I can really address on that. I can find out a little bit more, talk with Ms. Gwen LeBlanc about that, and see how that would be done.
I think that would be
But
helpful.
I would
bef-
imagine it's somewhat similar to your lighting districts right now. Those lighting districts go into a particular fund. Those funds are used to fund that particular service. Now, obviously, those are recurring funds and they're recurring, expenditures on the part of the district. But this would be somewhat similar to that, I would think.
Thank you very much. I think it would be helpful before we have a final decision on this for us to understand what the financial mechanism is around this.
Right.
Thank you.
Councilman Claude.
Yeah, on Terry's question, I do remember some conversation way back when that, you know, like you said, if you got a real good set of roads and, you know, lucrative homes in there, that's when in that time it was the ad valorem.
Mhm.
Okay, talking about the ad valorem.
Mhm.
Is that it would reach a point where it would be, like Terry said, a very, very lucrative fund of money sitting there.
Right.
And there was a question asked back then, and I don't remember the answer, and I don't know if it ever was answered, about whether they could petition to reduce
Right.
their taxes, okay, at that time.
Well, you might add that every year, you as a council have to renew it.
Right.
And so if you see that funds are being built up to an extraordinary amount, and we think we have enough funds in the account, you can decide at that point, the next year, the following year, not to collect the fund. You know, the district will stay there, and you always have the ability to pick up the collection in subsequent years.
I just remember that conversation taking place. Good work.
That's
Thank you.
a good mechanism.
Jerome, a couple questions. Now, you've already answered, so it's, with each of these districts, those funds can only be spent within that neighborhood.
That's correct.
Okay. And as far as, and it's just a general question, and anybody can answer this, but do we have enough money right now in our budget to maintain the roads that we currently have in our subdivisions and parish?
No.
No. I mean, that's why we're doing this. I was looking at Ricky on that. We don't have close to enough. But my question, and maybe some of the engineers, Stacy or Mike, could help us with this. When we look at the engineering study on these roads, are we going to look at them from the perspective of what is the maintenance cost over the first 5 years? Then maybe in 10 years, what is the maintenance cost? And then if we get to 20 years, how are we going to overlay? Whether it be we're going to crack seal, then chip seal, then eventually do an overlay. Is that how we determine maybe what the plan of action could be?
The maintenance cost would depend on what type of road is there, how thick the base is, and how much asphalt is currently there. But typically, any new asphalt road with a soil cement base should last at least 10 years, if not 20. I mean, depending on how well we take care of it. But as long as we have and the roads, Jerome is correct, the roads that we're taking in now, they're built to very good standards, and we have testing in place to verify that we get the right, enough asphalt, enough base, and that everything is there to keep us a good road for quite some time. Now, like
Are there things that we can do over time, though, in that 20-year period to ensure the life of the road lasts even longer?
Well, we've been talking about doing pavement preservation, which should help a lot in that capacity.
And these funds could be used for that.
Yeah, I would think so.
I would certainly think so. I mean, you're talking about extending the life of the road by, crack sealing, chip seal, thin lift overlays. You take a road now that could just going for 20, 25 years to 30, 35 years. So it would help a lot. And we worked with CRPC. They got us a schedule for preservation maintenance based on the PCI they did in 16. And so we're going to want to modify that in 2019 when they do it again, because they did it right before the flood, and I think a lot of the flood waters may have had something to do with maybe opening up cracks more and all that kind of stuff. So, but to answer your question, we've got it programmed out with the use of the pavement condition index. So there's a lot of things you can do to help extend the life of the roads instead of just rebuild them.
And Ricky brought up a good point. We have, our in-house crews have started some pavement preservation efforts. They're doing crack sealing, and I mean, that in the long run will help a good bit. And then chip sealing as well, that application that by itself will extend the road by at least 5 to 10 years. So those activities, and then if we're able to put out a contract on top of that, I mean, it'll just push us, push it up that much more. So maintenance costs should go down, as far as, because we have so many standards in place now, and an active staff to make sure that they're in good standing before we take them in.
So that would result in a lower millage for this sort of neighborhood.
What's that?
The better roads.
Right.
And the more maintenance we have means a lower millage.
Correct.
Or
Correct.
lower assessment, whatever it would be.
Yeah, correct. Yes, sir.
Councilman Cluett.
Yeah, right now, I know you're talking about would result in a lower millage, but I don't think we have the autonomy to charge these people 5 mills and these people 10 mills. You know what I mean?
Well,
Well,
it's based on the road.
Based on how much?
I will say we
I'm
could,
talking about based on the total dollar value of the roads.
No.
Well,
It's based on the subdivision, the individual
on miles of
subdivision.
road.
I mean,
I would add, yeah, if you're going to set up an assessment for each of the different, one for each assessment,
Right.
you can set it
That's
what you want.
Good deal.
But it doesn't have to be uniform all across all the
Thank you.
subdivisions. You're finding out that certain roads might have more maintenance costs than other roads in another subdivision, then you can set it as you need it, all right?
And
Up to the maximums.
Back what Jerome had said about the private roads being built to our standards, okay? Because had that been done 30 years ago, the people on River Highlands wouldn't have the heartache they have now, okay? Even though it's private, those people are still our constituents and they're still taxpayers, and they got services we can't provide them.
Additionally, this would mean, I think, if I understand it right, if a developer comes in and builds a higher quality road, that would lead to a lower assessment for the people that decide to move in that neighborhood, encouraging a developer to build a higher quality road, which will have lower maintenance cost over time.
Right. Well, we'd evaluate that when we're preparing the report for the district, obviously.
Exactly.
And we could set the assessment or the millage accordingly, so, yeah.
Councilwoman Cazzo.
So in follow-up to that, so the planning department would be doing the assessment, the engineer's report?
Not the planning department. We'd probably get a consultant or somebody like that, and that
Okay.
could be built into the cost of doing this,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Councilwoman Cazzo, what specific information do you want to be able to move on this, either now or to the next council meetings? I'd like to not delay this too much longer,
Well,
if at all.
and I concur. So I would, I think I could conscientiously move. I know that the council, that the parish administration is capable of setting up these kinds of accounts and managing those accounts. It's just some additional information that I would like to have going forward that I think we should certainly have by the time, if we had a favorable recommendation from this committee, that we should have that at the council meeting, because that would be critical in the final vote for this.
Jerome, would it be like a traffic impact fee how we have an account set up for that? Was that the type of account we would use
Yeah,
for this?
it'd be similar to that. Yeah.
Or lighting district.
Or lighting district? I'm just,
Yeah, lighting district, the traffic impact fees are also a set amount that's in a particular account, usable only for that particular purpose. Yeah.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, Jerome, on the private roads, not only roads, we're looking at road ditches.
Mhm.
If being as private, is the road ditches private also?
Yes, yeah, they
So-
would be. They are, I should say they're under private maintenance.
So
My
parish,
underst-
parish wouldn't be responsible for
let me-
road ditches or roads.
Let
if
me
it-
retract that.
If that
because-
developer decided to go private with them and not throw the fees on them.
Let me clarify my response, because if there's a drainage servitude, within the subdivision, even though it's a private road, then that drainage servitude
Would kick in.
be under the maintenance of the parish. Right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Councilman Floyd. You sure?
I'm rather reserved tonight.
So what is the pleasure of this committee? You never talk much.
Motion to move the ordinance to the full council.
We have a motion by Councilman Cagalati.
I'll second that.
We have a second by Councilwoman Cazo. Do we have any further discussion? No further discussion. Do we have any objection? No objection. We'll move this to the full council. Moving on to number 8, roads to be considered, ironic. Roads to be considered for acceptance into the parish maintenance system as follows. Ricky, go ahead, please.
I'm back before y'all to bring in roads in Eagle Landing subdivision. Second filing, Phase 2B, and third filings, Phase 3B. You want to do them individual?
Yes, sir.
Eagles Landing Drive, 1,562 feet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any objections? None, so moved.
Eagle View Lane, 798 feet.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Cagalati, and the previous motion was by Councilman Lambert. I apologize, Darla. Do we have any objections? None, so moved.
Soaring Flight Drive, 627 feet.
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Lambert.
Second.
And a second by Councilwoman Casso. Any objections? None, so moved.
That's a total of 2,987 feet, which is 0.56 of a mile.
Half a mile.
Thank you very much, Ricky. Item number 9.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cagalati, no objection to adjournment. Adjourned.